This is 8.6 of geometry. So we looked at law of sines. Now we're going to look at the law of cosines. So the book gives you 3 different equations. You only really need to know this last one. Okay, so I would just memorize that last one there. All the lowercase letters are sides. So this is a side. The capital C is an angle. And these two go together, they're a pair. So just the same way that, remember with law of sines, how we like circled an angle and its opposite side? That's the same thing we got here with these two C's. So the angle and the opposite side. If you look at your picture like this. And then the A and B's and all of the other equations, or all the other letters in here are just sides. Same over here. So let's try using that. Your book explains why it works. If you want to see it, it's rather complicated. We're not going to get into that. So we're going to look at this triangle over here, and we want to find MN. So I'm going to stick an X here. So the first thing I would do is find your pair. So this angle goes with this side. So there's our pair. So I'm going to write our equation. C squared is equal to A squared plus B squared minus 2AB cosine of C. So my X is going to go in for my C, so X squared. And then it doesn't matter which side you choose for your A and your B, so I'll just plug in 29 for my A and 48 for my B. Minus 2 times 29 times 48. Cosine, and remember, angles go inside cosines, so I need to plug in the 104. Okay, so I plugged in all my numbers. Now I'm going to go through and I'm going to do the multiplication of the numbers and I'm going to square the numbers. So we're going to leave X squared alone there. 29 squared gives us 841. 48 squared gives us 2,304. Minus, and then I need 2 times 29 times 48, which gives us 2,784. And I'm not going to combine my cosine yet, okay? I'm just going to leave that. Now I'm going to combine these two numbers. I'm going to leave that subtraction sign between them and combine these numbers, okay? This is a pretty big equation, and if you don't take it slowly, step by step, you might mix it up. So I would suggest that you try to solve it the same way every time. That way that you know that you're doing it exactly right. So 841 plus 2,304 gives us 3,145. Have our subtraction sign in between there. And then I need to do the cosine of 104 times 2,784. Gives me a negative 673.5. So if I got minus a negative, I need to change that into adding. So if I add 3,145 plus 673.5, we get that X squared is equal to 3,818.5. Then we need to take the square root of both sides. Remember, when we're taking the square, whenever you write in the square root, you're actually getting two answers. One is positive and one is negative. In the case of a triangle, we can't have a negative side length, so we're only going to write the positive answer. And we get about 61.8. And that would be our answer. Okay, so now we're going to use the law of cosines again, but this time we're trying to find angle T. So we're trying to find this angle. So the last question we just did, we were trying to find a side. Now we're trying to find an angle. So I'm going to find my pair again. So this is my pair. So C squared is equal to A squared plus B squared minus 2AB cosine of C. So my 7.1 goes in for my C over here because this is my side. I'll plug in 4.4 for A and 6.7 for B. And I don't have a number to plug in for the capital C because I don't know what my angle is. So I'm just going to plug in the letter T because that's the vertex we're working with. So remember, first step, I'm going to go through and I'm going to square things and multiply things. So 7.1 squared gives us 50.41. 4.4 squared gives us 19.36. 6.7 squared, we get 44.89. Then I'm going to do 2 times 4.4 times 6.7, which gives us 58.96. And I still got the cosine of t. So remember in our last one, I'm going to combine these, and I'm going to combine these. So I still have 50.41 equals, and I need to do 19.36 plus 44.89, which gives us 64.25. I've got the subtraction sign between them, and I can't combine this other one over here, so I'm just going to leave it as 58.96 cosine t. So I'm trying to solve for t, so this is going to take a little bit more work than the last problem did. I need to get t alone. So at some point I need to get rid of this 64, and at some point I need to get rid of this 58. The first one that I need to get rid of is the 64.25. So I'm going to subtract 64.25 from both sides. So 50.41 minus 64.25 gives me a negative 13.84. This canceled out, so I'm left with a negative 58.96 cosine t. So now I need to get rid of that 58.96, so I'm going to divide by, and it's a negative, so divide by the negative 58.96 on both sides. Over here, that's going to cross off. If I divide by negative 58.96, I get 0.235. Remember, a negative divided by negative is a positive. And this equals the cosine of t. And I'm trying to get t alone, so I need to get rid of that cosine. How do I do that? By the inverse cosine, or cosine inverse. So I'm going to take the inverse cosine of both sides. Because the inverse cosine and cosine undo each other. So we get rid of those. So I get that the cosine inverse of 0.235 is equal to t. And then when I do that on my calculator, I get that t is equal to about 76 degrees. Okay, one more problem. This one involves drawing our own picture, okay? It's a story problem. Basically, the hardest part is just drawing it, okay? Once you have the picture, then you can use your equation like we've done before. So, this is talking about directions, north, south, east, west, all that. So I'm going to draw myself a little reference. North, east, south, and west. So, we've got our campsite, so we'll stick it here, okay, campsite. You and a friend hike 1.4 miles due west. So we go west from the campsite, 1.4 miles. At the same time, 2 other friends hike 1.9 miles at a heading of south 11 degrees west, which means 11 degrees west of south. So, hold up, don't freak out. If they went south, they'd go down here, right? but it says they went 11 degrees west of south. So you go south and then you go 11 degrees towards west. So that's 11 degrees in there. And they went 1.9 miles. And we want to see how far apart we are. Okay, well right now this degree, that 11 is outside. I need to figure out how much it is inside. So this whole thing is a 90-degree angle. So what I can do is I can do 90 minus 11, which gives me 79. So the angle inside is 79 degrees. So here's my pair right there. So now I can set up my equation. So we'll work up here. C squared is equal to A squared plus B squared minus 2AB cosine C. So I'm going to plug in x for my c over here. So x squared equals, and then let's plug in 1.4 for A and 1.9 for B minus 2 times 1.4 times 1.9. Whoops, I'm running out of room. Cosine of 79. My bad that we ran out of room there. Here, maybe I'll just rewrite that out so that you can actually see that. Minus 2 times 1.4 times 1.9 cosine of 79. Okay, so remember we simplify in two chunks, right? We're going to simplify these numbers and we're going to simplify these numbers. So I need to do 1.4 squared, which gives me 1.96 plus, and I need to do 1.9 squared. That gives me 3.61 minus, and now I'm going to do 2 times 1.4 times 1.9. That gave me 5.32. And I'm just going to leave the cosine of 79 there still. So now I can combine these numbers. So 1.96 plus 3.61, that gives us 5.57. And then the cosine of 79 times 5.32 gives us about 1. Well, about 1. We'll go with 1. So we get that x squared is equal to 4.57. Then we square root both sides, and x is equal to about 2.1. So 2.1 miles. And there's your homework.